Amazing. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Tuesday. Welcome back to week 6 of Federal Conference's The Art of the Possible. Today, very excited to have with us Carla Bascope-Hebble, Director of Group Sales, and we're going to be talking about how regional programs are shifting from the marquee events. Carla's with Visit Alexandria. She's been there 3 years and has been in the industry for about 10 years. But to be honest with you, I think the most astonishing part of her resume is the fact that she is quarantined at home with twin boys, a husband, and 2 lab dogs. So welcome, Carla. Great to have you on stage.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you to you and Federal Conference for giving Visit Alexandria the opportunity to join you today. And thank you for giving me the chance as well.
Sure.
My boys actually turned 5 this week, so they're growing up.
And so how are you going to be celebrating at home?
We're gonna, if Mother Nature cooperates, we'll do a backyard camping activity. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So that's a tent and everything, or?
Yes, I'll be out there myself. I might sneak out at midnight, go to my bed.
Well, it sounds like a fun evening. So good luck with that. Seems to be a lot of birthday celebrations with cars decorated and driving around. So kind of a fun thing to do. But, yes. What's interesting also is Visit Alexandria has a long history of awards and recognition, which is, one of the reasons we asked you to join us today. For instance, I think Money Magazine was most valuable city for Alexandria. Condé Nast Travel, top 3 best cities, the best of cities for 2020. You also had Departures, top 20 hotels in 2020, and then Condé Nast, number 2 friendliest city in the U.S. So a really long history, not just in 2020, but over the past many years. Visit Alexandria has really done, I think, a great job in organizing and making sure that guests that visit are taken care of, it sounds like. So pretty impressive credentials for a destination. And as we talk about programs going from a marquee events to sort of the regional programs and looking at boutique destinations, what's interesting is that last week, Marriott CFO published some statements back on May 11th talking about this very issue, right? And what they're seeing are regional destinations where guests can actually drive in, are becoming, their hotels are beginning to see occupancy rise. Also, as beaches are beginning to open up, hotels are beginning to see occupancies rise. And then group cancellations seem to be subsiding a little bit and more focused on the first part of 2020 and not so much impacting the last part of 2020, which goes to some of the other podcasts we've had this over the past week is how are you going to find space and destination? So I think very topical. I think everyone's sort of already figured that out. And again, I think that's just a great topic for having you here today, Carla. So let's jump in, right? We've only got 20 minutes, so I want to get started. We have a lot of good information to cover. And I think the first question I would have for planners is what should planners look for when selecting a boutique or different destination on a smaller scale, like social distancing or like what does that look like for a boutique destination?
Yeah, I think, you brought a good point with the article last week. And when I would say one of the tips or a couple of tips that I would give somebody when looking at a boutique destination or smaller destinations is look at their accessibility, drivability, walkability, what open outdoor activities and attractions are available, outdoor dining, and is there a good mix of carry out as well? I would also say look at those resources in terms of what the destination can support with assets. Consider, what marketing and imagery has been updated with social media that they can also support you with. Alexandria itself, as an example, is a walking city. Once a visitor comes to Alexandria, you can easily walk from our Carlisle neighborhood to the waterfront, window shop, curb shop, do walking tours, activities like just taking a bike down to Mount Vernon, or taking a bike ride even from Hilton Mark Center to Old Town. Interestingly enough, too, with Alexandria is that right as we were all starting to work from home, we launched another asset to our website called ALX at Home, right around early March. And it's a website, it's part of our website and an experience for our community to have access to Alexandria's restaurants, shops, and attractions from the comfort of everyone's home. And what's great to think about when a planner, when groups are starting to meet again, that this is an experience that's also virtual for attendees. So many of our shops have DIY activities. Every Tuesday, actually today, we have a live webinar in Alexandria showcasing either an exercise activity or today's activity is a charcuterie activity. So I would consider, how a destination is updating and staying consistent with the messaging. I've seen many great examples from other small cities throughout the country. And I think really looking at how each destination is highlighting their unique assets.
Yep. So I think, Carla, I don't know if we have a copy of it or not, but I think you had a pretty cool little sort of social distancing sort of Alexandria version that's kind of a fun but branded way to remind people in a fun way, hey, we're still meeting. We've got programs going. I don't know if we have a copy of that to throw up or not. But I thought it was really an interesting and cool, fun sort of way to remind people, hey, you can have fun in Alexandria, but this is what it looks like. And the one I thought was most intriguing was either the Port City one or the dogs, because in Alexandria there are dogs everywhere. So I thought that was sort of a fun way to make sure you're measuring your 6 feet. So these are kind of things that a boutique destination could help with, both on branding, but also helping to reinforce that social distancing needs, right?
Absolutely. And we wanted to add a fun spin to it, right? There's a lot of rules and things that we can and we can't do lately, right? But we wanted to include a little bit of that Alexandria flavor through this. And you'll see that many of our businesses are displaying the social distancing guide. And it just adds a fun spin to it. And this is something that's available to our planners as well, to utilize this as a marketing piece.
Excellent. Excellent piece. I thought it was a fun piece. I'm glad you were able to share it with everybody. And your resources are also available as we kind of go through this. You can also share with where they can find these different resources as a destination. I think going to the next question, in boutique and smaller cities and destinations, one of the hardest or two hardest hit areas is obviously restaurants in the hotel industry. And being a former, hotel guy, it pains me that so many of my colleagues and friends are unemployed, furloughed, and it's a tough time. And so knowing that, as you go into a destination, let's just say like Alexandria, have your hotels been open? Should I expect that hotels have been open to sort of work through the distancing and cleaning measures and all of that sort of stuff? Or is it going to be a matter of, hey, phase one is here and the hotel's open and we're going to be frantic? Like what can a planner expect from the destination for hotels?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to our community and working so closely together. And, I'm with you on the fact that as a former hotelier myself, my heart goes out to our fellow hoteliers. But we have been, lucky to continue to have a number of our hotels stay open in Alexandria. And while there's a small number that are closed, they are also getting ready to reopen their doors quickly. And having over 23 hotels in Alexandria, ranging from boutique size meeting to mid-size hotels, all of them represent the major brands, and each hotel has taken added measures and sanitation and safety for their guests to properly social distance. For example, when guests leave a room, and the room stays unoccupied and untouched for 28 to 48 hours before a housekeeper would actually go in, so that another guest wouldn't be going into that same room right away. At Hilton Warwick Center, which is our largest hotel in Alexandria, all the guests receive a sanitation amenity bag, complete with sanitation gloves, sanitized TV remote controls, and hand sanitizer. And our hotels are continuing to follow on their updated brand guidelines and government guidelines, but they're also researching on options that are going above and beyond the alternatives to provide guests with just that added reassurance of their safety. I know, for example, one of our hotels in the Carlisle neighborhood, the West End, is looking at, potential UV lighting as another option to add to their sanitation guidelines. So I think when considering, regional meetings in boutique cities like us, you have to look at how they're keeping up with everything, and having these hotels that have stayed open through this process. They've been going through all the changes like we have, and they've been living and breathing it every single day. So we're confident that they'll be able to welcome back guests or welcome back meetings when we're ready to go into phase 3.
Yep. Perfect. So I think it would be definitely a fair question is as I'm a planner and going into a destination to ask those questions, hey, has this hotel been open through the whole process? When did they just reopen? And it's good to know that destinations like yours and boutique type destinations have hotels that are working through that, so they can welcome them back as soon as possible. And I'm a big fan of supporting our industry, and I encourage anyone that's looking at traveling like myself. I'll be honest, I was looking later this year to go out to I was doing a European trip, and I've shifted that, and I'm now staying in the US to make sure that I'm putting my dollars with my hotel friends and my hotel family, and I'm eating at local restaurants. So anyone listening, I hope that you will consider doing the same to support local hotels and restaurants. So I'm off my soapbox for that. But so let's get on to the next question. Sorry about that, Carla.
No, I love it.
In the same token, with destinations, as we kind of reopen and we're trying to figure out social distancing and what a hotel may look like or a destination, are hotels going to be equipped to handle hybrid programs, whether it's in a production or the internet bandwidth? Because not everyone's going to feel like traveling. And then can a hotel in a destination like yours be able to support having that live streaming aspect? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. I think what's really unique about small cities or boutique cities like Alexandria is that we're constantly competing with large metropolitan cities and cities alike. And so we're constantly updating and researching different programs to highlight our unique assets. Alexandria has a number of technology companies and third parties that are based here in Alexandria. And we're working with them to provide those resources to our hotels, to provide those packages, and for them to partner together. So that's one thing that our hotels are looking at. Also, technology has really been in the forefront of our hotels for a while now, and a number of our hotels actually pre-COVID-19 had updated their streaming capabilities. Westin, our second largest hotel, just updated to 1G just last fall. Hilton Mark Center and some of our Autograph Hotel Collection and many of our other hotels have also started putting together virtual meeting packages for hybrid meetings that will be ready to go to market when it's safe to meet again. So, as a boutique destination, we see hybrid meetings as an opportunity to showcase Alexandria to organizations that may not have considered us in the past. Not only with hotels, but just conference centers like the Merriam Gates Conference Center has already been producing hybrid meetings. So those are different assets that provide a variety in small destinations like ours.
You don't think about it from a competitive perspective, that being sort of a boutique second tier sort of destination, you really have to stay on top of it because it's a competitive advantage. And I would think that you also have more flexibility with making those changes and updating, versus a larger, first tier sort of city that's a little bigger and it's maybe harder to navigate. Is that maybe a fair statement, Carla?
Yes, absolutely. I think there's so much flexibility, and that's even that speaks to the cohesiveness of how the city is working together. All these different channels, from our chamber to Visit Alexandria to the government piece and our residents all working together. And it's the same with our hotels. There's a lot of flexibility and a close community to support the city. Gotcha.
Interesting. Next question is, as a hotel person myself, traditionally, having mass transit is sort of always a benefit, right? So if you happen to be across the street from the metro, I think in your destination, there's a Hilton Old Town, you know, is that still a positive, or are people taking metro or mass transit to go, like, from the airport, or what does that look like for someone to a second tier boutique type city?
Well, I think for one, accessibility has always been one of our biggest assets, right? We are lucky to have this, as you mentioned, the metro accessibility. We have the train and also the water accessibility. And hotels, you know, we do have the 2 hotels at the top of King Street, Hilton Old Town and Embassy, that are right by the metro. And both hotels have been really cognizant of limiting kind of that access to their public space to service their in-house guests, and increasing the touch point sanitations as well, so that they're very, very vigilant about that. So we still see that as a great advantage. But another piece that's great for us, and when we're looking at regional meetings becoming more prevalent, is the drivability. And Alexandria is located so close to so many highways that it makes it easy for regional attendees to get to Alexandria in the privacy of their own car. So once they're here, they don't even have to, they can park their car, and they have the walkability option as well. So I think, you know, I would be cognizant when looking at different destinations as a meeting planner, you know, what are those options? Can my guests have the option to take the train, take an airplane, or drive if they really feel like they just want to be in the privacy of their own car? You know, public transportation has also taken the guidelines of limiting those capacities. Our trolley is currently closed, but we'll start phasing into opening again, and we'll be working on those guidelines as well of social distancing. So I think accessibility in the mass transit is still a good asset, because you want to be able to give your attendees multiple options.
Sure. Yeah, totally makes sense. And it goes back to what the Marriott CFO said, you know, last week, is that those destinations that are drivable, you know, that's a win for them. And, you know, which ties into what you're saying. But I think also the fact that you drive to the destination, but you then have a walkable city that there's plenty to do within walking distance. You're not kind of sort of stranded. So I think that's definitely a good win. And I think your point, you know, and again, something to think about is, like the Hilton Old Town, that they're, you know, being very precautious and making sure that they protect their guests and their environment, which I think is a critical piece, you know, feeling comfortable, like
Absolutely.
to get people to be able to travel. I'm going to attend this meeting. It's at a great hotel, and I can feel confident in that my safety and the cleanliness of the hotel is good. So definitely good things to point out and to think about from a mass transit in the hotel. I think along those lines, as we move forward and we begin sort of phase 1 and reopening, if I'm a planner, I mean, do you think it's fair to ask a destination or a hotel for written guidelines and standards and what's happening throughout the city and what you're doing as a destination, but also like the hotel? Is that something that a planner should be asking for? Is that, I mean, because is it taboo, I guess? I don't know.
I think, you know, absolutely. The more transparent you can be about everything that is going on in your city and your destination, it creates a better relationship. We all want to have all, you know, while we may not have all the answers right away, I think every city's working to get through those. And, you know, actually, coincidentally, as we go into phase 1, we are also launching an ALX Promise program. And this is a labor of love by the city working together with the chamber, the community, and our residents. And it's a promise that is aimed to establish and promote a unified approach to welcoming tourists and residents back to Alexandria. So it's actually a program that our businesses, not just hotels, but attractions, businesses, and small businesses, will have a 3-step program to have the first part will be with the health department, and then they'll have to complete a training program, and then they'll receive sign a pledge to demonstrate their ongoing commitment. So each one of these businesses will have something posted in their windows showing that ALX Promise brand as a united community in their windows.
Wow. So definitely I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so and just to add to that, right? Obviously, we always want to see kind of the details, and we'll have that prominently posted on our website, along with the city, the chamber, so that the planners can have kind of like a piece to look at and provide their internal clients as well and their leadership with resources that the city's providing.
So they'll be able to find all of that at I think the website's posted. I can't see it right now, but I think all of those resources, like the little distancing piece, all those will be available on your website.
Absolutely, yes.
And so a planner should definitely look for and ask those questions about written policies. And it's good to hear, at least, I think most destinations would do this, is that there's a fully integrated program that they're, putting the entire city and destination through, so that people can feel comfortable, like, I don't see something in this window. Do I go in? But if I can feel comfortable, like, hey, they've gone through this, the health department, those kind of things, I think it helps rebuild that confidence that, hey, I can go here and shop.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, our city is small, but quite nimble, and we've been really staying on top. Our communications team has been amazing at continuing that communication through our website. If you're able to follow it through, ALX at Home, just to see the continuous updates and resources that are available.
Yep. Well, Carla, I think that we've hit our 20-minute mark, which we try to keep these two. We're a little over, but I think we're good shape. I want to thank you again, because as we, the whole philosophy behind this is bringing people together, our industry, working through this so that we can thrive and continue to move forward. So I greatly appreciate the tips for as we kind of refigure out what it looks like for marquee events and regional programs. Amazing information. And Carla, again, where can we find your information? So
if you go to meetalexandriava.com, and then you can then stroll to, there's a whole meetings section that provides planners with resources of any marketing support, ALX at Home, also for those virtual attendees and for our regional attendees. That's another great option. And you can follow us on Twitter at meetalexva.com or through LinkedIn as well.
Gotcha.
And obviously, we're a small team of 4 sales individuals, and we all work closely together. So we're also just a phone call away, which is nice to have that live conversation as well.
Well, before we log off, I want to make sure if there were any questions or not before we sign off and wish a fond farewell. I don't think we have any questions. Nope.
Well, Phil, I want to just thank you and Federal Conference for continuing to do the episodes each week. They've been such a great resource to our community and our industry.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome, Carla. And again, I want to thank all of our viewers and everyone who's participated. And we look forward to seeing you next time on The Art of the Possible. Have a good day.
Thank you.